Freeze the moment if you can. Savor this because it's really cool. Before we go further, I want to talk about the upcoming show. I think it's on Paramount Plus.
That's
the
right.
bass show. Tell us about that.
Well, when I wrote The Big Beautiful Book of Bass.
An amazing book, by the
Thank
way.
you.
How many of you have it? It's so beautiful.
Not enough, but
Well, I don't know anything about guitars.
it's available.
It's just beautiful to look at the images of
Yeah, it was really a passion project for me to do that. And the thing that surprised me most about that was how much fun I had interviewing other bass players. You know, I got to do your job. And I met with some fascinating dudes. And one of them, Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones, you know, legendary guy. And, you know, my book was all about vintage bass guitars. And trying to get Bill to talk about bass guitars is not easy. It's the last fucking thing he wants to talk about. And you're talking about a guy who has written 9 books of his own, maybe 10 by now. He's a butterfly photographer. He invented his own metal detector for people with small hands. Small hands, Geddy. What? Yeah. And he and his daughter discovered relics on his own property that are now in the British Museum. So it just got me thinking, you know, people have this preconception about what bass players are. Usually the guy standing in the shadows, you know, by the drummer and holds his bass up like Bill did so he could check out the chicks. And, you know, some of us are pretty darn interesting. So during the pandemic, when I was writing the memoir, Sam Dunn from Banger Films, who did our first documentary, he wrote to me and he said, look, I love your book. I'm a bass player. Is there a documentary we could do about this book? And I said, well, I don't know. Let's talk about it. So we tossed some ideas around with Daniel Richler, my co-writer, and my brother Alan Weinreb, who's a producer. And we came up on this idea based on those interviews, trying to go out and prove to the world that bass players are human too. Anyway, so then I had to make the damn thing. And that was really interesting because I had to be a host, and that's really not my thing. But, you know, of course I picked wonderful bass players that a few I knew, a couple I didn't really know, and we had such a great time. So I hope everybody does get to a few laughs watching.
And when will it start?
December 5th.
Okay, on Paramount.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And in your little